Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar to learn more about our latest release. We're just going to give everyone a few more minutes to join and then we'll get started. All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar, What's New? Modern Requirements Release 2021 Update 1. In today's session, we're going to be going through our latest release. And today's speakers include myself and Breen as your host for today. We have Rosie on the line, our Director of Marketing, to give you a brief overview of modern requirements and ask some polling questions, followed by Asif Sharif, who will be doing the bulk of today's presentation and demo, really showing you what's in our latest release of modern requirements. Just before we begin, I have a few housekeeping items to go through. If you have been here before, you probably know the drill, but we will always send out the video recording of our webinar afterwards. So if you can't stay for the full hour or just want to share it with your team, you'll definitely have that in your inbox by the end of the week. And we typically upload that to our website as well, along with all of our other webinars if you ever want to take a look at those. We will have about 15 minutes towards the end reserved for Q&A. So please feel free to drop your questions in the control panel at any time. You should see that on the right-hand side of your screen, as well as if you're having any technical issues or any other questions in general, you could drop those in there. We have a feedback survey that will pop up in your browser as soon as the webinar is complete. So if you do have a moment or two, please complete that survey. It really helps us to understand what topics are of interest to you and how we can improve these webinars moving forward. If you are not a current customer of Modern Requirements, you can always visit the link on the screen, and I'll drop that in the chat box as well. And that's a 30-day free trial of Modern Requirements, no cost to you at all. It's a really great way to just sort of try it out, see if it's the right fit for your team. Throughout this webinar, you will likely get a better sense of the many features and capabilities of Modern Requirements. So if that has piqued your interest, once again, please visit that link on the screen and you can start your free trial. All right, over to you, Rosie.
All right, thank you, Embry. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Since I see a few names on the webinar that I don't recognize, I would like to go through a quick introduction to who we are. But before we do that, I would like to ask our current clients to fill out a really quick survey, a couple questions, where we're asking you to identify which version of Azure DevOps you're currently using. This is completely confidential, but is crucial for planning purposes so that we can serve you better. Embry will drop a link in the chat window for you to click or save for later so that you can help us complete the survey. So for those of you who are new to Modern Requirements, let me touch a bit on what we do. Modern Requirements is the world's leading requirements management solution. Modern Requirements for DevOps is our flagship product, which extends and adds new capabilities in Azure DevOps. So business analysts, product owners, system engineers, quality assurance leads, and people like yourself can better manage projects throughout their lifecycle and easily collaborate with teams involved. With Modern Requirements for DevOps, you can author, elicit, automate, trace, and define requirements directly within Azure DevOps. Since we are the one and only requirements management tool that is directly built within Azure DevOps, this means there is no other tool in the market that is better fit than ours. With Modern Requirements for DevOps, you can turn your Azure DevOps account into a powerful requirements solution and ensure that Azure DevOps is your single source of truth. We have been a strategic partner of Microsoft since 2010. As a gold certified partner, we work closely with teams at Microsoft. This ensures you that we are always in alignment, adapting and growing with Microsoft. On top of that, our clients can take advantage of the scalability and the security of Azure with streamlined deployment and management. A few months ago, Software Review, a division of Infotech Research Group, a third-party independent IT research and advisory firm, conducted an in-depth study on requirements management tools in the market. As a result, we are super proud to receive the gold medal, earning us the top spot in the 2021 Best Requirements Management Awards. Our Compasses score in front of you here, 9 out of 10, measures our clients' rating of our capabilities, product features, likeliness to recommend, likelihood of renewal, fair cost, as well as value driven. Now, compared to the category average, which is the gray bar on the charts here, this is an average of how requirements managed tools in the market were rated. We do a much better job in green here. We equip our clients with tools that they need to continuously improve their requirements lifecycle and drive real business value. And with access to knowledgeable teams and plenty of useful resources, our clients are much more satisfied with our support, training, and the usability and intuitiveness of our product. As for our clients on this webinar, we just want to say that you have made the right choice in trusting us. And we also want to say thanks for those who participated in the survey and the study. If there is anything we need to improve on, we're all ears. So for those of you who are wondering specifically, Why do our clients love us? Well, at the very basics, we help solve issues and challenges you're currently facing. The common problems listed here might resonate with you a little bit. Before discovering modern requirements for DevOps, all of our clients face at least a handful of these common issues. Just to highlight a few, many waste their time cutting and pasting requirements. They have little to none requirements reuse. They go through painful traceability practices, delays in reviews, approvals, and reporting. That is why we created modern requirements for DevOps. With it, you can eliminate all these challenges. We ensure that you have the right tool for every aspect of your requirements lifecycle. That is why modern requirements for DevOps come with an extensive feature set, including trace analysis, review management, baselining, reporting, diagramming, mockups, and its unique Smart Docs authoring environment, and much more. These features are always improving and growing based on our clients' feedback, hence why we have released webinars like this. So to summarize, thousands of users worldwide have experienced shortened cycle times, increased value flow, and reduced development rework. Our users have consistently reported 40 to 50% increases in requirements, productivity, and quality, thanks to the automation behind our features. So that includes our overview. Now, for the release update, in case some of you are not familiar with it, to download the latest version, all you have to do is click on the client area at the top, then log in, scroll down to find the download button. So it's really easy. For the rest of the webinar, we'll go through new features and enhancements included in this release. We also have added 2 helpful documentations on the new Word import features. So please download them. You can find it under handouts. If you don't see that option in your panel, we will add them to the page where you can watch the recording of this webinar. So we'll notify you through email in the next couple of days. So before I pass it over to Asif to do the demo, where he will go through these new features and enhancements, I want to get to know our audience a bit more. So I'm going to pull up a couple of poll questions. It would be great if everyone can participate and select your answer. So let me launch the first question here. Okay, there we go. So the question is your organization using modern requirements? That's either a yes or a no. Okay, I see results coming in. Okay, looks like we have about 70% current clients who are using modern requirements, and then we have about 30 who are new, so welcome. And then let's go to the next question. Oh, maybe I can share the results as well. Okay, so next question, last question here. If you are a current user of modern requirements, so for our current clients, what's your favorite modern requirements tool? Tool. So it's either Smart Docs, traceability, baseline, diagramming, or everything. Okay, I see a lot of people selecting Smart Docs and traceability. Oh, I see some selecting everything. Okay, numbers are still going up. Okay, there we go. I think we have everything. So let me share results. So 44 Smart Docs, 35 loves traceability, and then 12% loves everything. That's awesome. Okay, well, thanks for participating. And then now I'm passing it over to Asif.
All right, thank you, Rosie. And hey, folks, I'm going to share my screen. All right. So hopefully you can see my deck. So folks, in update 1, So just to begin with, this is a update webinar. So I'm not doing a full demo of the product. It is going to be focused on what's new. So we've done various enhancements. We've done bug fixing as usual. And MatCal is one area where we've done a lot of improvements. Now, MatCal is simply the ability for you to configure rules, calculation rules, within your work items. So if a work item has 3 fields and the third field is a calculation of the first 2 fields, these calculations can also be done on strings or numbers. And many of our clients that do risk hazard management, they would use MatCal to do their calculation, and they would use, like, they'll have 10 fields and 3 other fields are going to get calculated based on quite complex rule sets. So instead of using Excel and having things disjointed and not always up to date, MatCal is a great solution for that. So we've done a lot of improvements on that. Word import. So now I'm going to demonstrate word import UI. Previously, as some of you or many of you might know, we actually had a word import utility, which allowed you to define a mapping file and then import your Word document. We have now built a user interface to define the mapping. So previously, you would have to do it in an independent XML file to provide the mapping, but now you can do it directly within Modern Requirements. All right, so let's see how that works. So, and I've created 5 different templates that we're going to take a look at. I think it's best to do it by example. So let's actually open up a Word document. So here's one sample file. I've just labeled it so that I know what pattern I want to show. So in this particular Word document, I've got different sections with content, there are subsections, subheadings, and there's some images, and so on and so forth. So that's the headings document. So let's go to here, and we'll do word import. And what we'll do is take a look at the headings rule set. So now we have this new rule set designer tab. So in this designer tab, I've created a rule set file that says that heading 1 should map to a section work item. So in Smart Docs, as you may know, it's really a bridge between document and work item management. And so it brings the best of both worlds together. Now, section work items is a work item which just holds information like introduction or overview and stuff like that. So it's really not a requirement or a risk or a task or whatever. It's simply placeholder content. So I'm going to use heading 1 for section, and the content below it will go into the description field. And the next item is a requirement work item. So as you can see it says heading 2 is user requirements work item. Of course, you can choose any other work item that you have in your process template, which of course is configurable. And then I'm going to pull that in. And then the third level, I'm using headings as in plural. And that basically means all the items below it at multiple levels will map to user stories. Okay, of course, in this case, we're using a hybrid template. Everyone has their own sort of approach and methodology they use. Again, we are using, in this example, I'm using a hybrid model. So I'm going to use that one. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my my file. I'm just going to take this and let's take the headings document. So what it's going to do is simply load the document. So you can now see the whole document here. And then the second thing we'll do is we'll choose the headings rule set, and then we'll apply it. Now, when you apply it, it'll tell you that I'm going to consider this as a section, and this is a description, and this is requirement, and this is user stories, and so on and so forth. So it's just giving you a quick preview of it. And then I'll say import. During import, I can choose a basic template, whatever template that you're going to be using in Smart Docs. And you give it a name. I'm going to leave the default name in there, which is the name of the Word document. And I'll say, okay. So this process is really going to be, it's going to basically create a new Smart Doc and pull in, create all the work items based on the section in the document and the mapping file, and pull in the work items into a Smart Doc, organize it just the way it was in the Word document. So you can see this essentially is the same exact document. Now, if you take a look at quickly at the work item types, collapsed document, so you can see there's sections at the top, and then user requirements and stories, or user requirements and stories. All of that got pulled in, right? So now you don't have to learn XML or get your geeks involved in creating the XML file. And I say geeks most respectfully because I'm one of them. But what this does do is it makes it much more easier to define your own rule sets. Right, so that's one example. Now let's take a look at another example. So we'll do the single tables import. So let's see what a single table looks like. So in this particular case, again, I have some content, just as in introduction, scope, and so on. And then I have a use case section with multiple tables in it. But in this case, the pattern is different. So in this case, the column is the identifier and then the values. And then this just continues. Okay? And then we've just got some diagrams and so on and so forth. So I want to import this one in now, single table. So then I go back to here and let's import the single table. But before we import that, let's take a look at what the configuration is. Now, remember, what I've tried to do here is to show different patterns as to how you want to import that in. And you can always mix and match these, but I'm trying to show relatively simple scenarios so you understand the basic building blocks, and then in your final document, you can mix and match it. So in this particular case, what I have is I'm doing a table where I'm going to use a use case work item. I've decided to ignore my first row because that was just a heading. I did not want to load the heading of a table. And then in row 2, I'm going to ignore the first column because that was just the label of the field. However, in the next column, the second column is going to be my title. My next column is going to be description. The next one will be my trigger field. The next one will be precondition and then postcondition. So that's how this has been configured. So now let's go and pull in the single table configuration. We'll choose our single table one here. We'll apply this. And again, it's going to tag it. And so tell us, In the use case, it's going to consider this to be the title, description, trigger, condition, precondition, postcondition, and so on and so forth. Again, we'll go ahead and import it. I'll just use the basic template. By the way, basic template allows you to add anything anywhere. But of course, when you create your Smart Doc templates, it's going to have a particular structure, like all the others here. But I use this because it's the more generic catch-all version of things. And then I'll go import that. And so what it'll do, it will actually create the document for you. So it's pulled in all the use cases from the table, and of course, all the diagrams and everything. So that's the second document. So let's go to the third one. So this is interesting. This has a condition in it. So in this particular document, we again have some preamble, and then we have got the same table-based content and so on. But in the import now, what I'm going to do here is with condition. And what I'm doing here is I'm saying, okay, you know what, there is, after heading 1, in this particular case, I'm saying heading 1 that starts with the word system should be treated in one way. But if heading 1 starts with a project label, then use a different logic. Okay. So if you do have very specific, so at the same level, you have multiple things you can branch into different import rules. And the rest of it is the same. In this case, again, I have a table. I'm ignoring the first row because it's the heading of the table. I'm ignoring the first column, and then I'm pulling in the other column information, as you can see here. So I configure this way. I go to Word import, and we'll choose a file. Again, it's going to tag it for us, and we know what's going to happen to things. We're going to click import, and we'll use basic. We'll import it in. Okay. So now it's imported the content, and let's go to the outline view. And what you'll see is at the first level, this has the word system in it. So you use the system requirements to map to this section. But this is also at level 1. So it's 3, not 3.1. So level 1, in this case, is mapping to section. Okay. And under this one, it actually has a different sort of content than pulling up here. Okay. So it's using a different logic based on starts with. So that's the starts with scenario. The other one is tables with different work item types. So if you look at this particular example, I've got a table here, but whenever I have level 1, I want to treat this as one work item type, but level 2, as in 1.1, I want to use this as a different work item type. So how do you configure that? So we go back here, we do import. And we'll apply it, we'll import it. Like so. It'll go create all the work items and pull the content in. And so now you can see it's got the first level as one work item type. and then it's creating different work item types for other levels. So you can see, yeah, it's pulling in data in sort of, it's using the right link type here, based on which level it was on. And finally, table with same work item in the doc. And this is a more simpler scenario. I've got just a table, I've got title and description, and I just want to pull all of that data in. Okay. So I basically go here. Let's take a look at the rule for that one. And so this is the simpler version of what we saw earlier. So I'm going to use a table. So basically, when you go here, you can sort of say I want to add a table or whatever the case may be. So that's how you add a new section underneath it. So in this case, I've configured this to be a table, which is, by the way, this UI is a similar experience as in Smart Report Designer, or even the Meta Template Designer. So the same UX experience. So I have a table, I'm ignoring the first row, and then I'm using all row tags. So treat all the rows uniformly, ignore the first column, and then you take the next column, map it to title, and the next column, map it to description. So now we can just go and select the last document, and we'll choose this rule set. And again, it's tagged it. I'll go import it. We'll pull it in. So it's going to now, you can see it's pulled in everything as a section. All right, so that's Word import. Now remember, in Word, in Word is very, the Word documents vary quite a bit. So you can use Word document any which way. So if you have a structured document, obviously it's easy to define one rule set, then import a whole bunch of documents. But if every document is made differently, then your rule set would need to be more generic so that it can load any of your documents you have. Now, within the rule set designer, we have supported a variety of different patterns, as I've just shown you. There are other patterns that are currently being worked on, and those will be added in our next release. And so, of course, this is an ongoing exercise. As we get feedback from people as to what patterns are needed, we'll continue to add that to the designer and, of course, in the execution of it. And this was the highly requested feature, which we have now released. All right, so the next thing. In Smart Docs, you can see we actually have done a lot of work in Smart Docs. And even from the survey, it was evident that Smart Doc is one of the most popular and well-liked feature of modern requirements. And so we do a lot of investment and spend a lot of time on developing and improving Smart Docs. So one of the things that we have done is that when you create a new Smart Doc, you can select the area path you want to assign to it. So basically what that means is if I do new Smart Doc here, and the system would allow you to select the area. So if you look at an area path, this area path field, so the root work item, every Smart Doc ends up with the root work item. So what root work item do you want it to have? You can select in doing new Smart Docs. You can also, and the rules for that is the following. If you create a Smart Doc with the area path selected, the root work item will get that. However, if in the subsequent work items, you have already defined, say you've defined a default value. So you've defined default value for an area path or an inheritance value for an area path, then that value will be taken. Okay, so that has the higher precedence. However, if you have not defined either one of these for the area path, then the default that you select for new smart docs would be used for any new work item you create in that smart doc. Okay, so this way you don't have to always open up a smart doc and set its area path. So that's one. On new smart doc, you can select your area path. The other is the meta template recycle bin. So one of the things we found people were saying that, hey, you know what, I can delete my document template or meta template. And when you delete it, like so, it's gone. But what if you want to bring it back? So we implemented a recycle bin, and it goes there and you can restore it from it. So as you know, in Smart Docs, there are some templates we give out of the box, but you can create your own meta templates, and you can even create your document templates from your meta templates, which have predefined content in it. If you delete either one of these, then the meta template ends up, your document templates end up in the recycle bin. So now you can restore it. And by the way, you might be thinking that if I delete a meta template, how come Smart Doc still works? That the Smart Doc was built from that particular template. And the reason is we actually embed the template within a Smart Doc. However, to update the meta template, you need to have them. If you want to update the template for an existing Smart Doc, you do need to have your meta template available independently. So there is sort of an inheritance model of sorts. So being able to recycle it is always good, but if you delete it from the recycle bin, then it is permanently purged, as in this case, it'll tell you, are you sure you want to permanently purge it? Okay. The other thing you can do is when you delete a Smart Doc, it will, when you delete a Smart Doc, what's wrong with resolution? I don't know what's wrong here. Yeah, I need to have this looked at. Of course, our responsiveness is not working here, but there's a checkbox here, and it will get fixed in the next update we do. Don't have to really wait for a release. There's a checkbox that says, do you want to delete the root work item? And what the root work item does is not only the document Smart Doc is deleted, the work items are not deleted when you delete a Smart Doc. However, the root work item can be deleted, because if you don't need a Smart Doc, you probably don't need the root work item. You may still need the requirements and other content in it, but you certainly don't need the root work item. So you have the option to now select to delete the root work item along with the Smart Doc. Yeah, so one of the other requests we had was that when you create your meta template, so what most people end up doing is they'll have a governance framework on what meta template and document templates people should use, because you want a certain standardized way of creating and working with your artifacts. So you don't want everybody to be creating or even seeing certain things like the basic template you don't want to see. You don't want to see meta template. Say you only want to see the document template. Now, people who have full edit rights will see everything. However, people who have only authoring rights, you can configure that they only see the document template, and that you can do through configuration And in the configuration, you can set up the rules of what content needs to be shown when people create new. So for example, if I go here and I do new Smart Doc, then if you disable the meta template option, then both basic and document templates, meta template will not show up, only document templates will show up. So people can then not have other things that they get distracted with. All they will use is document templates. Okay, so you can turn off the basic and meta template for people who are just using the templates, and you have created good document templates, which is of course what most people end up doing. The other thing is to copy parameters across projects. So one of the things you can do is to create use parameters. So in this thing, you'll see that this I've got says count equals 12, message equals this is a message. But within the work item, it actually has this information: count equals P1, message equals message 1, and the area path is product 3. In the parameter configuration, you will see that for product 3, I've defined P1 is equal to 12, message 1 is equal to this is a test message. So when people are doing various requirements for engineering, they have this need to parameterize requirements. So they may have similar parameters for different products, but the values are different. So then they'll define their product configuration and then map the parameters to them. So we already had this before, but what we have now done is given you the ability to, and you already have the ability to copy and paste the parameters in different products in the same project. But some of our users came back and said, no, but we've got like 30 parameters and we don't want to, we want to actually copy them across projects. So we now have given you the option to do the same. So you can actually say, you can go to clone projects, and from there, you can select what project you want to clone this to, and you choose the area path or the product that you've selected. You'll say clone. These are the parameters that are being cloned because I'd selected both of them, and then I can save it and they'll get created in the target project. So the whole idea there is the ability to copy parameters across projects. The other highly requested feature was to show review status, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So in this Smart Doc, what I can do is if I go to version management, you will see that I have 4 different reviews that I had initiated from this Smart Doc at different points in time. And this is the status. So this review is incomplete. This is approved. This is rejected. This is still active. Okay. So now you have these status indicators. So you can see this Smart Doc had how many reviews, when was it done, and what is the current status of it. Now, if you open up a review, then you will see the status also in the version that you've opened, that this was approved. What you can also do is you can navigate to the review. So previously you would have to go to review and open it up from review, but now from this version, because this actually has a review, you can click on review and it will open up the review automatically with that click. So you don't have to navigate, find it, and open it. Now it'll just open it for you. The other thing you will note is because this review was created from a Smart Doc, it will actually open up the Smart Doc view automatically. Previously, it would have opened in a list view, and then you can navigate to the Smart Doc view, but now we are navigating directly to the view from which it was created. So if you create a review from the backlog or the query, then it would open up the list view. But again, since this was created from Smart Doc, it will open up the Smart Doc view. Similarly, you can also open Smart Doc from here. So you're in the review and you want to open up the Smart Doc version on which this review is being done. Then you just click here and it'll take you back to the version. So there's now bi-directional integration between the two. And also within the review, you can also see a check mark that's saying this Smart Doc has been approved. Okay. So we've sort of enhanced the navigation between Smart Docs and review and the status overview of at various points in various places, whether it's in Smart Docs or review management. So the other thing people were asking us was that if I'm in a review, so previously what you had to do is if you gave them a URL to a Smart Doc and you wanted them to go to a particular version, then you would have to tell them, click on this link, go to that version. But now you can go to the version yourself, copy the URL, and then share the URL, and URL will take people directly to that version of the Smart Doc. So versioning of Smart Doc is becoming more first-class citizen, if you will. You can also set the default in Smart Docs to Smart Editor versus Standard Editor. So basically, when you double-click a work item, should the double-click refer to the Smart Editor or the work item editor like this? So that configuration of the default double-click can be done from here. Okay. Actually, this is the checkbox for that. Open work item in ADO TFS editor on a double click. Otherwise, the default would be Smart Editor. Okay. Because we have clients that prefer to use Smart Editor because you can add tables and do a lot more rich text content editing in there. Other people prefer to use the Standard Editor. So now you can choose which one you want to work with. So those are some of the enhancements in Smart Doc. The next one is review management. And I already showed you that you can navigate from a review to the source Smart Doc version. On review, open it will open in Smart Doc more. Oh yeah, so I already showed you when you open up a review, it will automatically go to the Smart Doc view tab if this was created from a Smart Doc. So saves you a click, but also shows you the appropriate view that you should be seeing anyways. One of the other things we have done is that the review reminder. So if somebody has marked the review as complete, and previously they used to get a reminder because they've not gone through every work item and provided feedback on it. But if they've marked it as complete, now they don't get a reminder because say they didn't have any comments, especially if it's a reviewer, not an approver scenario. But if the reviewer has marked it complete, okay, I don't have anything else to say, then they won't get a reminder anymore. And the last thing is the compare pop-up to show comparison. So when you go to compare, what it's going to do, right now it's sort of showing you version 2 of this work item was approved, 3 is also approved. So we've added the logic now. So it's always comparing the old to the new, And in the old one is going to show you the previously approved instance. It's not the previous instance, but the previously approved instance compared to the current instance. So you can always tell by default the delta between the current state of the work item and the previously approved work items. Review management is a very big deal in some industries because we support e-signature and comparison and so on and so forth. And so this was an important request that we got from some of our clients. Okay, baseline. So in baseline, what we have done, there's a couple of things we've done in baseline. So one of the things you can do is that when you create a new baseline and you give it some description, and you can then choose the work items you want to add to it, right? So you add whatever work item you want to add to it, but once you've added the work item to the baseline, and we can always go back, but I won't take time to do that. But what you can do is you can go back and update the title and the description. Because sometimes what happens is that initially you're not quite sure what the name should be, but later on, once you have selected everything, you want to add in more description or whatever, so you can always update it before you click save. Okay. So that's one thing that was done. Generate difference report in PDF. So in the baseline, you can now generate a difference report in PDF format or Word. Previously, it was just Word document, but now you have both options available. And lastly, link type filter. So if you remember, in the baseline, previously what we would do is you would add a whole bunch of work items, and if you generated a smart report from here, we would actually find all parent-child relationship and present a hierarchy view in a smart doc. Some of our clients came back and said, that works most of the time, but in other scenarios, what we have is we have different link types. So we want to actually go from say smart doc to test case to bug, and they're not parent-child. This is a tested by and this is related. So we then provided a template where you can configure. So actually, let me show you the result first. So in this case, you will see that I have my user story, my test case, and my bug in the hierarchy format, as though this was a structured hierarchy. But obviously it's not. It's linked with different link types. But the way you achieve this, that you actually go to the designer view, and you click on this thing, configure link types. And when you configure link types, you can then select what link type do you want to consider. So in this case, I'm going from user story to test case, following the tested by link type. And then from test case to bugs, following the related link type. So you can actually zigzag between different link types, pull in all the content, and render a report from it. Okay. So this is available within baseline and review. Baseline is where the real request was from, but we've also added to review management. Trace analysis. Okay, so in the trace analysis, let's go to trace here. So one of the things previously, if you went to HTM, if you clicked on it, it would run the report, and then you can go edit it. But now, if you just do a right mouse click, you can go to the editor directly. Okay, so you don't have to click and run it. You can just right mouse click. Clicking by default is a run, but a right mouse click will give you the option to edit. The same thing has been implemented in reporting, in advanced reporting, where you can actually go edit. It'll bring up the editor view. As opposed to just clicking on it, will run the report. The other thing is if you have test run virtual work item. So one of the things you can do is you can actually create a horizontal matrix on test runs. And so when you have a test run, work item, there is a configuration here now. Okay. And in here, you can actually say only show me a report on test runs that is between the following dates. And then you can choose what state is that run in, how many records you want back, and you want to consider manual or automated testing. Okay. So now, previously, it used to pull in all the data for that test run. And many of our clients came back and said, that's way too much. That's way too many. So now you can filter down your test results. Now, just a quick background on the test reporting. So it should be noted that test run is not a real work item, nor is test steps and so on. So there's a bunch of work items that are actually not. So test results, test run, test step run, these are not real work items, but we created these as virtual work items so that they are a virtual tunnel into the test hub. So you can actually run your test suite and test plan reporting and see all your test results. Now, I've done a more detailed deep dive into creating test plan reporting, including test results at the step level, at the macro level, however you configure it. But now we have got this capability that you can actually filter out your data and only see certain parts of the test run information. For diagramming, so in diagramming, we have built, we've now added a sequence diagram here. So we've added a sequence diagram. So now you can create sequence diagrams in modern requirements. So instead of now using umpteen different tools to do various things, you can now do everything within Azure DevOps using modern requirements. So you've got the sequence diagram capability in there. We've also added a few different notation items here in the UML activity diagram, in the BPMN stencil. We have also done work like, so now you can add other annotation onto it. And so this is really a BPMN 2.0 notation support. And that goes on, that's available in various different shapes. So that's been added as well. Oh yeah, and the ruler. So you can also go here and you can enable ruler, and so you end up with rulers now. So folks, that's what's new in modern requirements. 2021 update 1. We are going to have a couple of patches released on this version in the next month or two, where we'll do some bug fixing, some small enhancements. But our next release is currently projected to be towards the year end. that we'll call Modern Requirements 2022. As Rosie mentioned, we are actually doing a lot of nearly all of our R&D is based on client feedback. Once in a while, I will or my team will have some great epiphany and we'll go build smart docs, for example. But the lion's share of what we're doing is based on our client feedback. So please continue bringing in your questions to us. So with that, what we'll do is that we'll transition to answering some of your questions. Now, I know we are nearly at the top of the hour. So if you have to leave, I thank you. If you don't want to leave and you would like to stay for the Q&A, like to thank you as well. But if you do leave, again, the recording will be available and you can look at the Q&A in there. Yeah, so let's go through some of the questions. We'll probably continue for another 10 minutes to answer some of the questions. So one question is, can I associate a new meta template with an existing smart doc? So the answer is no. Smart docs are made of, when you create a smart doc is made up of, created from a given meta template, which has a very defined structure. So if we would allow you to apply a very different meta template to it, it could all jumble up things and so on, and things would get hidden and so on and so forth. However, what you can do is you can update a meta template and then just go and update the meta template within your smart docs by clicking on this. Okay, so if you did update your meta template for, say, this document, then just go here and say update, and it will pull in the updated meta template in here. So you can't change it, but you can modify it. There's a question on Smart Editor. So Smart Editor is an area where we have been doing some work. I know previously we had done some enhancements on the Smart Editor, and so we have added more styles to this. Oops, cancel. So we've added more styles to this in both of these table style and cell style area, so that that you have a, previously I think the selection was much smaller. So we've added more styles to this. That's one of the things we have done. And I know there's been some other optimization that has been done as well. So somebody's asking, are we planning to provide story mapping? Story mapping is something that is on our backlog. We don't have a timeline for that. So yeah, but that is something we are considering. And when we do have a plan, we'll share with you, Powell. So there's a question on, have you added more functionality to reviews, such as visibility of stakeholder comments to review initiator? So when the review is initiated, the reviewers and all participants can view all the comments and activities by different people. So like I like to explain, that review management is like it's a team sport. Anybody who's part of this review team can actually see other people's comment and comment on it. So that is available to all people. And I showed you the few things that we have enhanced in there. So perhaps this question was added before I showed that. Or maybe not. But anyways, so that's that. So is it possible to get someone to help on using Smart MR for DevOps in test reporting, please? Yes, absolutely. So just reach out to support@modernrequirements.com, and they will be able to provide you some guidance. There is a tech note on our website that explains test reporting in detail, and there's also a webinar on our website on test reporting. So under get started. So there are two resources. You can self-help, but of course reach out to the support team from support at Modern Requirements, or just reach out to whoever your account manager is, and they can get you in touch with the right people. How can I import a Smartsheet document? Smartsheet is getting popularity. So the best thing to do is, if Smartsheets can be saved to Excel, there is a team tab in Excel that will let you import data from Excel into Azure DevOps, and then you can add it to SmartDoc or do whatever else you like with it. But that's probably the fastest way to do that. So one question was, how was the diagrams mapped? So I'm not sure what the context of this is. This was at 11:24, and I suppose at that point I was still showing word import. So the diagrams were mapped probably as a work item, and the diagram was shown as an image within the description. So it was part of the paragraph parsing that got loaded into the description field, because that's probably what the mapping was. If you selected a Smart Document template when importing a Word document, would the system ignore the data in the Smart Doc template and only use the meta template from the document template? That's a damn good question. I don't know the answer. So the question is, when you import a Word document, instead of selecting a meta template, what if I select a document template? What will it do with work items that actually don't match, or will it just use the meta template in the document template? So you know what, Robert, I'm not quite sure of that. That's a really good question. We'll find out, and we'll send you an email on that as to what does it do. Is it possible to configure how test steps are exported to Word? In particular, can attachment column be removed? So I suppose you're talking about smart reporting. So let me just go to a test case. So I'm just going to go to this test case here and invoke Smart Report. And then what we'll do is in the designer, so in the designer, you can choose what information you want to show in the report. So in this particular case, I've selected all of these fields. Okay. And I can further configure for test steps. Do I want to include a preview of the attachment? Do I want to include parameter values? And whether I want to include shared parameters. Okay. So you can actually configure what information you want to see in the report for test steps. And you can also define configuration on parameters as well. So it's really a function of all of these, and particularly this. This will, what this does is this actually shows you a preview of the attachments as an image. So that's that. So there's another question: is it possible to import test steps with Word import? So test steps cannot be imported through Word import. What you can do is that if you have the test steps in a grid format, that through the test plan area, you can actually, there's a way to just copy and paste multiple test cases along with their steps in one shot. So there's a quick way of doing that. But the Word import doesn't do test steps because test steps are not handled as a work item in Azure DevOps. It's handled through a special type. So the best way to do it, go to test plan and then just import by doing a bulk copy paste into there. Is there an entity diagram? So the closest thing we have to that is the business object model, where you can define different business objects, attributes, and links between them, and that's going to give you so you can define your business objects, and then you can have your attributes, and then you can add attributes to these things, and then you can link their business objects and so on. Certainly from our systems design perspective, our intent was to be very much sort of requirement centric. So we don't do things like class diagrams. I mean, sequence we did because, again, there are business cases modeling you can do with sequence. And the business object model is more of a business view of your ERD, if you will. And so you can do that. So there is a question on whether we are planning to support review management where individual words can be provided feedback on. Today, in review, you provide feedback at the work item level. So that is something on our dashboard. We've been talking to a few of our clients in discussing how we might do that and what's the best approach. So that is something that we do have in our backlog. So the idea would be it would work similar to how Word works. You can select a word, you can comment on it, other people can add to that by replying to it, and so on and so forth. Is there a version control and approval audit on parameters? Is it a version control? So version control is available at the smart doc level, where the parameters are being used, but not at the parameter definition level. Turning off meta template is done in security permission. No, so the parameter setting is done through the admin at the account level. When importing a Word document, should you only close meta template versus when importing Word document, should we only use meta template versus document template? So that would be my preference, because there's no point to use a document template. Using the meta template is how the structure is going to be used, is what I'm thinking. But there was a question asked earlier, what would happen if a document template was being used? And I don't have an answer to that right now. So Robert, we'll get back to you as well on what's the implication, and maybe is there a benefit to doing that. All right. So folks, those were most of the questions. Of course, if I'm trying to go through the questions pretty quickly, so I may not have answered your question precisely how you might have meant. But if you do have any questions that we didn't answer, please reach out to us. Again, contact whoever you've been working with at Modern Requirements, or write to support at Modern Requirements, and we'll get back to you on that. And that's all, folks. Thank you very much. And I hope you guys stay safe and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.